All right, today we are diving deep into the story of SRRK. It's a fascinating look at how a small biotech company can suddenly have a moment that is, well, truly unbelievable. So, what exactly happened here? And maybe more importantly, what can this whole journey teach us about the super high stakes world of science and investing?
So, yeah, that's not a typo. Just look at that chart. This is the kind of explosive one-day move that makes headlines and, frankly, can create fortunes overnight. It just immediately makes you ask the biggest question, and that's what we're going to unpack today. How on earth does something like this even happen?
So, the company right in the middle of this perfect storm is Scholar Rock. For a long time, they were a pretty unknown, clinical stage company, just kind of working in the background. But a series of really key events was about to push them right into the spotlight. So, what does Scholar Rock actually do? Well, in simple terms, they're experts in targeting a very specific family of proteins. That fancy name you see there, the TGF beta superfamily, you can just think of these proteins as the traffic cops for your cells. They're the ones telling cells when to grow, when to stop, what to do. The whole idea is that if you can precisely target these little traffic cops, you could treat some incredibly serious diseases. It is super specialized and, believe me, very high-stakes science. And this is the number that made everyone snap to attention. Over 300% in a single day. This wasn't some slow and steady climb. It was a rocket ship, a sudden vertical leap. So let's get into the science that actually powered this incredible move. Right, to understand why the stock did what it did, you have to understand the science. A biotech company's value, it's not really about what they're selling today. It's all about the massive potential that's locked away in their research pipeline. So come on, let's take a look inside their lab. The star of the show here is a drug called apitegromab. Now, the idea behind it is actually pretty cool. It's what's called a myostatin inhibitor. See, myostatin is a protein that's already in our bodies, and its job is to put the brakes on muscle growth, to stop us from getting too big. What this drug does is it's designed to release that brake, basically telling the body, hey, it's okay, you can build and protect your muscle. It's a really fascinating approach.
And this is not a one-trick pony. The drug's main target is spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA, a truly devastating muscle-wasting disease. But look at that second line item, obesity. You know how these wildly popular weight loss drugs are helping people shed pounds? Well, a big side effect is that they often lose a ton of critical muscle mass too. Apitegromab could potentially solve that exact problem. This pipeline shows the company's thinking way bigger than just one success.
Now, it's crucial to understand this breakout didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was the result of a sequence of really powerful events. First, their main trial for SMA was a success. Big check mark there. Then, they submitted their application to the FDA. And not only did the FDA accept it, they granted it priority review, basically putting it in the fast lane. Another big check. Then, the early data from that obesity trial looked really promising. All of this momentum is building toward one ultimate event, the PDUFA date. That's just the FDA's deadline to give a final yes or no.
And this number? This is exactly why that obesity trial turned so many heads. In the trial, patients who are taking a weight loss drug alongside apitegromab preserved almost 55% of their lean muscle. That is a huge deal. Because like we said, a major downside of these new weight loss drugs is losing muscle with the fat. Scholar Rock might just have the answer to that very problem.
So far, this is a fantastic story, right? The science is compelling, the data looks really strong, and the market has obviously responded in a huge way. But this is biotech, and in biotech, incredible potential always comes with some very significant risk. It is never, ever a simple, straight line to success.
This slide just captures it perfectly. The binary, all or nothing nature of a company like this. On one side, you've got the absolute dream scenario. FDA says yes, the drug is a blockbuster, and the whole pipeline makes them a new biotech powerhouse. But on the other side, you've got the nightmare. The FDA says no, the launch fails, or they just run out of money. The company's entire future is balancing on a knife's edge.
Let's just break these risks down because they are very, very real. The big one is the FDA. Even with positive data, they could still say no or ask for more studies, which could mean years of delays. Then there's commercial risk. I mean, Scholar Rock has a really promising drug, but they've never actually brought a product to market before. Manufacturing, marketing, dealing with insurance, it's a monumental challenge. And of course, there's always the risk that future trials fail, they burn through their cash too fast, or another company simply beats them to it. The road ahead is absolutely filled with hurdles. But the story of Scholar Rock isn't just about one company. It's a perfect case study. It's like a masterclass in how these high-stakes, catalyst-driven biotech stories play out. So what can we all take away from this?
This whole journey really gives us a clear, repeatable playbook for making sense of this super exciting but also super volatile sector. It all boils down to following a pretty simple process. It's a pretty straightforward 3-step playbook. First, find the catalyst. What's the key date, the key event that's going to decide the company's fate? For Scholar Rock, it's that PDUFA date, that FDA decision. Second, you got to understand the science. You don't need a PhD, but you have to get the basic idea. Why does this drug even matter? And finally, step 3, you have to acknowledge the risk. This is a binary bet. It could be a massive winner, or it could go to zero. You have to be ready for either outcome.
This quote just nails it. It really sums the whole thing up. The conviction comes from that strong science we talked about. The risk comes from all those hurdles in drug development. The key here is to treat it for what it is, a high-stakes play on a single event, not some safe, long-term investment.
And that really brings us to the final critical question, doesn't it? For patients, a new therapy like this could be absolutely life-changing. For investors, the potential upside is enormous, but the risk of failure is just as real. So after seeing the science, the catalysts, and all the pitfalls, you have to ask yourself, is that potential reward actually worth the risk? That right there, that's the billion-dollar question.